those records are amazing, right? You know, but they were put together by people who I don't know fully understood us, you know? And so that's kind of where I'm at, where I was just like, yeah, if I'm going to be in a room, I can't just be in a room. Right. You know, and that's something probably you've experienced. You can't just be black and be in the room. You feel me? Like, you know, you have to be great. You know what I mean? So that's why I saw it to be. I was like, I'm not going to just be here.
When I do the way I move, I gotta prove it to myself. I can't help it. It's who I am.
All right, welcome back to the Computer Keys channel. I am Marquise, and today we're back with another episode of my Tech Story interview series. This time I started to show that it's a lot of different lanes you can get into under this tech umbrella. So today I got my man Julian with me.
Yes, sir.
This is like a special type of episode because you're not technically in tech, but like what you do is very much tech adjacent. So like this season or whatever, I've been trying to like get into jobs that people do that's like that, you know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So briefly before we get into the actual questions and stuff, like you could just introduce yourself, like say like what you actually do and everything.
Bet. Yeah, so I'm Julian Black Soul Harris. I am a audio engineer, producer, award-winning audio engineer, producer, platinum selling award-winning audio engineer, producer. Sorry, yeah, I do a lot of things. Guitarist. I've been playing guitar for like 16, 17 years now. Classically and jazz trained. I'm just an all-around like music lover. Like I really take music seriously. I like the way that things sound together when they're right. You know what I mean? So I'm chasing that. I'm always chasing like what sounds right. You feel me?
So that's actually how we connected. It was like at this point 2019 probably around that time. So if y'all don't know, I make music every year. I release a project. It's like based around my ups and downs of that year, hell of a year series. So Julian has been my engineer, producer, mixer, man, like everything on like the last 6 projects now. We just dropped volume 8, so it's I'm happy being to do like this is like a special jump for real.
For sure. You know what I mean? And just even kind of seeing your growth, you know what I'm saying, from like, you know, the first project. I'm not sure where. I think you were just coming back from Maryland. You feel me? And then so from there to like, you know, what you're doing now is kind of crazy too. So definitely giving you flowers on that. You know what I'm saying? You're definitely doing your shit. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. I
don't know if you're cursing on the show.
No, you can.
But nah, it's a great thing to see. You know what I'm saying? And we definitely need more like, you know, black faces in tech. And just as things evolve, you know, like AI is going to kind of just really open things up. So, you know, having more people that are on the inside, you know, it's a beautiful thing.
I appreciate that, bro. Like, same to you. Like, seeing your growth over the years, like, we in this studio now, but when we started, we was in people's kitchen. We was in, your basement, your mom's basement. We was at the other studio and shit. So, yeah, it's been a long time coming, but I'm glad we're getting to do this soon. All right, so we're going to get into, like, actual questions and stuff now. So we're going to start with, like, a little bit about you.
Okay.
And you don't got to remember everything I'm going to say right now.
Okay.
But, like, your
That's
name,
like the pastor trying to read my mouth.
It's going to be a lot. Your name, age, location, hometown, race or ethnicity.
Okay.
And then I want, like, fun fact and then interest outside of what you do.
Okay.
So you start with, like, your name and age. Well, you already said your name.
What's my name? Yeah.
So start with, like, your age and location and stuff.
So I'm 30. I just turned 30. Damn, I forgot the next one.
You said age, location, hometown.
Philly, born and raised. Interests. I'm really just interested in art. You know, art and music always kind of go together.
I mean, that's technically what you do, though.
Yeah, but I feel like it's a different kind of thing. Like, I wish that I could paint, you know what I mean? Like,
I see what
you know, I can give you a good, like, you know, island and palm tree, you know what I mean? But I'm not really, like, there's people that I know that are a lot more talented at that. Like, that's their lane, you feel me? And I think visually, when I see art, it kind of like, I hear music, you know what I mean? So, you know, I've always kind of wanted to be able to like fuse the two, you know what I mean? Because if I had that link, then
that would be tough.
It'd be crazy, you feel me? So that's something maybe I'm going to work towards, you know, in my, when I retire or something, you know, but.
That would be cool to see, like, art going over to, because I tried that with Volume 5.
Okay.
But yeah, like.
Well, yeah, you did. You literally drew like that. Crazy. I didn't know you were like an artist like that. I mean, I don't know how you did that.
I dabble a little bit, but no, I think that would be cool to see, like, especially the way you be on the guitar and shit.
Yeah.
So like to see you kind of, I don't know, translate that into the artwork. You know, had a little interruption. So we did it. All right. So I kind of did your interest, but I want like a fun fact about you real quick.
Okay. I don't know.
I know that this is pretty. It's always hard. Like,
yeah, I wish I had it. You know, had to, Let me think, man. I don't know. Like a fun fact. Oh, so I'm a budding sommelier.
Oh, that's a really good fun fact, actually.
Yeah. So.
You really are.
No. Ask about me, man. Look. So I'm.
No, you really are.
You know, I used to work at a winery. You know me, as you know, many few times, and I really got into it. I really got into just the art of like making wine, and then tasting different kinds of wine, and tasting what region they're from, and what kind of grapes were used. So. All the different blends and the things that you can make. It's kind of like, again, kind of ties back to art and music, and it all kind of goes together. Like when we go out to a show or something, like City Winery, it's a place where the wines kind of pair with what music is being played that day, right? So
that's cool.
That's kind of where I really take my inspiration from the wine. Like it's another form of art,
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah,
you definitely the one that I ain't gonna hold you, like me drinking wine. It was always like the little barefoot jump, like,
I got you. Yeah,
get one of them. I love the sweet wine. I still love the sweet wine, but like you put me on to like the flights and all the different type of stuff you can do with wine. Yeah. Definitely opened my eyes to that. That's a good fun fact.
Yeah,
like, I was wondering what you was gonna say, but like that literally is like the epitome of a fun fact. All right, so we kind of got into what you do already, but I want to go a little more in depth. Okay. So I want to know what you do, like officially. So I know you got a couple kind of jobs, but like what you do, for how long, and then if you feel comfortable, like a salary or a salary range for like what you do. Okay.
I would say the overarching thing that I do is just engineering, audio engineering. It kind of spans into a lot of different areas. So this, in this space will be studio recording, right? So music, primarily, but also do podcast recording, picture for dialogue, or, audio for dialogue, audio for picture, there we go. For like movies and stuff, films, post-production, audio editing and like cleaning stuff up, when there's a documentary I worked on, Black History Untold, Sophia Boland's incredible director.
I'm gonna have to watch that, John.
Yeah, man. So this one was it was like this is a series, so it's Black History Untold. This one was about love. Okay. Different types of love, right? So it was like, like 10 different couples. One of them was like just one person, it was like self-love, you know what I mean? So it's like just all these people that embodying different types of love. Anyway,
I knew you did that.
Yeah. So that actually won 2 Webby Awards.
Oh,
right?
Shit.
Yeah. So I mixed it, and I also did like, there was just a lot of like ruffling, right, in the rustling, because they had lav mics.
Probably these.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that, but so essentially just all that noise and stuff, and then the ceiling's really high, right? So just the reverb in the room. I used what's called like RX, isotope RX, just boom, different things from there, just clean that up or whatever, and just kind of, make it as normal sounding, or at least normalize the whole thing, because there were definitely parts where it's like, there's, the narrator talking from a different space, you feel me? And then there's like voice actors actually recorded in our studio from After 5.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's funny, I actually remember the day that happened. It's crazy. And I didn't even do the session. I randomly just like walked in while it happened. But anyway, so that's primarily what I do. I also have kind of taken on a role with kids, pseudo teaching. So there's
I would say you're teaching.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely teaching certain things, right? So with the Hill Friedman music program, or Hill Friedman Records. There you go. You have an alumni.
That was my middle school. Now he's working at the high school.
Yep. And so they have an incredible program that's funded by John Legend, and it's basically every year the kids make an album, you know, so it's like part of their yearly requirement, you know, it's like their final project or whatever. So throughout the course of the year, we're making, you know, we're figuring out how to make music, you know, and then, you know, how to tell stories, how do we, you know, represent like what's going on, you know, in everyone's day to day, you know, through music, right? So, and through the eyes of, you know, a 15, 16-year-old kid, you know. So we kind of collaborate with the kids and try to just bring that out of them because, you know, a lot of people don't know that they have a gift until, you know.
You get the opportunity to put it out.
Right, you know what I mean? So that's been something that's new, you know, newer on my journey, right? But, you know, literally the day that I graduated from college, I actually was working with them just as a mixer, just, you know, mixing. Yeah, so I'd worked with them before.
Oh, so you kind of like double back.
Yeah, okay. So they reached out again this year or last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, like I said, literally the day after I graduated college, I was working with like Crystal Oliver, who's, you know, Grammy nominated, got platinum plaques with Brandy and whoever else, and you know, Lou Carlos O'Reilly, who's an incredible, you know, keyboardist, you know, pianist, and Andrew Lipke, who's again just incredible, you know, composer, and yeah, just some really super talented people. And I'm like 22, 23, like, all right, you know, you know, I'm coming in like kind of almost like a hothead, like, you know, I had been, you know, locked in the studio probably for the last like year and a half before I graduated. Once I got access, so like Temple has this awesome thing where they have a real studio you can work out of, you know what I mean? So you can rent it out on the weekends, and me and my friends will rent that joint out, and we would just be in there. Like, so, you know, building closed at like 9 probably. We was in there till like 4 in the morning. You know what I mean? Come back next day, 10 in the morning, boom, just be in that joint all day. You know, back, you know, so coming from that environment into what I went into at Hill Friedman, and then seeing the difference between then and now, you know, I've been able to kind of carry on the legacy that they started, because, you know, none of them are with the program now. So,
right.
you know, just...
that's tough, yeah.
You know.
So, like, the stuff you was able to pick up then, you're able to apply it now as you come... Yeah, that's
you know,
tough.
and with, you know, what, 6 years of, you know, experience, you know, 6, 7, so, you know, that perspective was something I needed, because I wouldn't have worked with, like, I had taught, I was a TA for Temple for a half semester with Phil Niccolo, who was one of my mentors. And so teaching college kids is way different. Like, they're adults. You know what I mean? Teaching teenagers is like, it's just such a different game, you know, and there's not even like that different age-wise. It's just like developmentally, you know, it's just such a different thing.
It's
and
also
like,
the intention too.
The intention and the approach, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, because I was kind of doing the same thing, you know, teaching production and engineering, just a little less engineering with the kids, because it's a lot more like, hey, what can you create versus, you know, why does your snare sound like this? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to, you know, you know, do that, you know. So, but yeah,
So you mentioned a few different things. The audio engineer, how long have you been doing that specifically?
10 plus years. What's this, 2025? So between like 2014 and 15.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And the school, you've been there about a couple years, right?
I've been there. This is actually will be my first full year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So before that, I was really just like in the studio. After 5, it was stuff that I was doing in between, but like really after 5 since, I guess, last June all the way to 2020, you know?
Yeah.
And then before that, you know, just kind of worked like random stuff. I worked at WHY for a long time. Still kind of in between was doing stuff for like freelance for WHY. You know, and that's kind of been the saving grace is like I'm able to do freelance like audio editing. You know, I'm really good with sound design, you know, so like, you know, WHY will reach out, or, you know, someone doing documentary, or, you know, whatever, even film scoring, you know, people reach out about that, you know, so, and it's like quick, it's something I can kind of just do, you know, and you know, it's like a fun, like, aside for me, you know, and I get paid for it, so like, all right, cool, you know.
Nah, I love that. It's like, I don't know how to put this. It's like it's all kind of along the same lines of, you know, engineering, kind of, but you being able to apply that talent to these different things, you know what I'm saying? It makes you valuable, you know what I'm saying, in that field, because you being able to score a movie, but then come over here and put together niggas, you know what I'm saying, make, albums and shit, like, is multifaceted, or, you know what I'm saying? So, it was something I wanted to, you mentioned this earlier, but like the producing, how long you been producing?
Longer than engineering. So now I really think about it, you know, when I was, because I you know, like I said, started playing guitar, so the reason I even really wanted to engineer was because, you know, when I was in a band that almost got signed. I guess I never told you this story.
I knew that.
Yeah. So I was 18 and I was with a group, and so essentially it was like R&B. It was kind of like the internet, right?
Okay.
Less like, I don't know, whatever, I'm gonna get into it. But it was cool, right? So, and I just remember, like, because we had nothing recorded, we had to actually go in and like perform, right? You know, for this label. So we go in. At first, it was me and the singer, right? So she got this opportunity or whatever. She was like, "Yo, come in. I'm play guitar." Like, or I play guitar. She was singing. So boom, we go in, and they're like, "Yo, they're fucking with us." They're like, "Yo, you know, if it was just you two, we would sign you."
Oh wow.
Right? But it's not. You know. So if you want to include the band, you know, come back and perform, and you know, we'll figure it out. But if you guys just want to move ahead with y'all two, you know, we can make some shake. You know what I mean? So we chose to not do that, and like I said, just have the band come in. And I just remember that day, bro. Like, so the bass player forgot one of the songs. The drummer, there was something he messed up. You know, everything was just off. Everything was just off, right? And I just kept thinking, man, like, we just had the music recorded, right? Yeah. You know, that we wouldn't have had to
just play the demo. You don't gotta worry
exactly.
About,
it's not nothing crazy, right? So
the song, like,
yeah, you know what I mean. And then, you know, just other experiences going to studios, right? But really people's houses that you know, they had like a room where, you know, they had some stuff. They made a booth, you know.
That was more studios, yeah.
You know, so you know, you're paying somebody like, you know, $25 an hour to just press record for a little bit, and then, you know, boom. And yeah, those experiences, and then just kind of getting like, you know, like people trying to say, you know, 100 an hour, whatever. You know, as a starting a band, you're like, you know, I need something. Yeah. I need, you know, you got to meet me. You know what I mean? So, those experiences kind of made me want to engineer, and then, like I said, just being able to, you know, go to Temple, figure out, okay, they have this program, whatever, boom, hop right into it and go. You know, like, yeah, everything.
So you was, no, that's actually a good segue. So the next question is, what or who first got you interested in your field? So I'm gonna ask you a few things right now. I want to know what sparked the interest in music, and I'm gonna tie this all back to the tech, as far as like you being able to understand, first of all, the hardware portion of it, right? The mics, the monitors, all of the stuff, all them keys on that thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they can kind of see it, but
you can see a little bit of it, but like, all the sliders and the keys, all the knobs and everything on there. There's times where I'm in there ready to record, the mic might not be on, you gotta come over, you gotta do certain stuff to it. Like, there's a hardware portion to it that if you don't make music, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you just consume the music, you might be like, oh, that's a nice sound. I like this. I like this flow. I like this kit. Whatever. But making the music, you see the type of work that go into it, and then, especially when you're mixing it, that's when you get into the software of it and understanding the reverb and the compressor and like all these different plugins and like how the software connects to the hardware, all of that shit. So like, to me, that's tech. I don't care what nobody say. Like, that's all tech related. If you don't understand how that stuff works within each other, you can't really like you can press record, but like if the mic too high or like the connection not there or whatever, it's not gonna be good. So I'm curious, like, where the interest in music came from.
Okay.
Because I know you've been playing guitar basically your whole life, and that obviously led to producing, led to creating your original music. I didn't even know you was in a band like that.
Yeah.
And then I know you're in a band now.
Yeah.
And then leading into engineering. So like I want to know what sparked that interest initially, and then we're gonna get into your schooling and stuff soon. But like, what sparked that initial interest, and what drove you to kind of push into more of a professional lane of producing and like engineering?
Okay. So the initial interest was, I don't know. I mean, like I started playing clarinet when I was in 3rd grade.
So was it like a class, or was it like
It wasn't
your parents played
required.
music?
I don't
Was it
know.
church?
Dude, I don't even know why I did it. I really don't know why. You know, I think we all had recorders, and then somehow I got placed with clarinet, and I was like, all right, cool. You know, and you know, I just remember in 7th grade, bro, there's this kid, Vincent Pham, and I just remember he's playing like there's with orchestra, there's like different chairs, right?
Yeah.
The chairs, you know, tell you how good a player is, right? So first chair is like really good.
Yeah.
Second chair is like probably still really good, but just not first chair. You know,
second string.
You know, go for it. You know, go for it. Sorry. So this kid was playing like Flight of the Bumblebee.
On what?
On clarinet.
Oh, wow.
In like 7th grade, bro.
Damn.
So I was just like, yeah, this is not. I'm not there. You feel me? You know?
I was wondering. I'm like, where you about to go with this? So you saw a boy. You was like, oh no, that
I knew that wasn't for me.
That's
right?
not my lane.
That's not my lane, bro. And so just thank the Lord I found guitar. So I was watching. And I'm not old, bro. Like you're older than I am. You know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you the OG status, but
barely. Yeah, I'll take it.
But so I when MTV was still playing music videos, right? So I remember I saw this dude's like up on a mountain just playing this crazy guitar solo. And I forgot what song it even was, but it was just like the guitar looked super cool. You know, dude looked super cool playing the guitar, and I was just like, that's what I want to do.
This was around 7th grade, you said?
This was the summer of 7th grade.
Okay.
Right, so summer of 7th grade, 7th grade, summer of 7th grade, 8th grade, probably like the most, like, some of the best memories I have as a child.
Damn.
You feel me? Like, but yeah, we're not gonna get that deep. Anyway, so different podcast, right?
I mean, we can go there.
We can go there, you know. But yeah, no, that was just, it was crazy because like being able to, so I saw that my birthday was coming up, right? So boom, I was like, Mom, I remember, there was like an ad in a magazine or a newspaper. That sounds so fucking old. And I remember taking it to my mom at my grandparents' house and just boom, put it on the table, and I was just like, yo, this shit's on sale. Boom, 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 around my birthday. What's up? She was like, you wanna play guitar? I was like, yeah, I'm playing guitar. You know what I mean? And she was like, all right, and then just on my birthday, boom, got the guitar. And so the first night that I had the guitar, right, I have this iconic picture of me holding the guitar left-handed, right? And I play right-handed. So, play right-handed, right?
Play right now.
And it's just so wrong. I know what I was doing, right? And so the strings are flipped, and it's just stupid looking, right? But it's awesome, right? I have glasses on. It was before I even started doing the glasses thing, so I have glasses and this like custom jersey. It's awesome, right? I'm 12 or 13 or something, and I just remember I went downstairs to the basement where we used to record. Yeah. And do you remember that couch that was there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I jumped off the couch, right? And I had the guitar, so I'm going crazy. I'm just like, I'm a rock star. I'm jumping off the couch, and I like hit the guitar on the ceiling, right?
Bro.
And then it drops, boom. So cracks at the top, cracks at the bottom, right?
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh shit, like,
no, that's really some dumb kid shit.
yo, like, so mind you, this is day one. This is like hour 2 of having this guitar, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh dang, that's crazy. So I was like, all right, I don't know what I'm doing. So I go upstairs. I was like, oh mom, this shit was broken. So, took it, and then we actually took it back to Target, and they gave us a new one.
Oh, lucky. Yeah, you lucky, dog.
I was just like, yeah, this one was broken when we
that
bought it.
That could have been the end of everything. What if your mom was like, oh, I ain't getting
right.
another one.
No, rush.
No Julian, no band, no guitar.
Man,
like, damn.
So it was crazy, and so thank you, and I'm sorry, Target, but not even, because y'all ended the DI program. Yeah, you know what I mean? So we've been boycotting Target, so, that's another L.
Yeah, shit.
But, yeah, bro, it's just from that day on, that was one of those things that just kind of, like, got me started, the fact that she had been so supportive. She's she's taken me to shows. She's been to a bunch of shows or whatever. And then just kind of even up to now, like where there's like when I did the Roots Picnic, like that's like a wild thing, from first getting that guitar to then. So that was a moment that I shared with her where it was just like and with just my family and friends, just like it's crazy to kind of be where I'm at now,
right?
And still plenty of things that I want to still do, but just looking back on, all right, I actually have done some cool things,
That's I'm glad you mentioned it, because as many of these genres as I've done, obviously people have talked about who inspired them to get into tech and stuff, but you specifically mentioning the support system you had and how that allowed you to kind of explore these things, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Even you coming and being like, I want to play guitar.
Right. Yeah.
They could have wrote you off like, you really want to do that? People don't really play guitar like that, whatever. Getting you the guitar, taking you to different stuff, getting you the lessons.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? All that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, kind of reminds me of my dad taking me under his wing with the tech stuff, with his business, going to appointments and learning, actually letting me write, code for websites and shit like that. Like, that support system, I think, is very I don't know how to put this, underappreciated. I don't know. It doesn't get mentioned a lot.
For sure, undervalued.
So, undervalued. That's the good way of putting it. I'm glad you mentioned it. So when you, it's perfect. So the next question is, was this your original plan? Was this always a plan? So like, I'm curious, up to 7th grade, what was Lil Julian thinking about doing? Like, what was you trying to do?
So Lil Julian was trying to be an architect, actually.
I would have been an architect too.
So I was heavy into Legos, heavy into, just architect, like literal architecture, building design.
Yeah.
I was right into Frank Lloyd Wright, and so my mom would buy me books of different houses that he had designed and stuff.
Nice.
And I would study them, right? And so, that was what I thought I was going to do for a long time. And then I don't know what it was. Like I think I did one Lego John, and I was just like, damn, this is a lot of bricks, and I don't know, and what's crazy? I want to say 9/11 maybe had something to do with my architectural designs too, or design wishes or whatever. Because it's and this is aside, but just kind of no matter how sturdy you build something, there's always something that can knock it down.
Yeah,
you feel me?
Sure, yeah.
And it's kind of like a metaphor for life.
I was about to say that. Yeah, that's deep.
So. I guess just as an early age, I just kind of, was like, oh, fuck, oh shit, if that can fall, man, what am I, and I think also the beauty of houses and, my house that I grew up in, was beautiful on the inside, but looked kind of, mostly like every other house on the block, right? So, driving around that part of Philly, even though, from Mount Airy, around that part of Philly and just different parts of Philly, all the houses are uniform. You go to the suburbs, everything is kind of spaced out and different, and people really paying attention.
You got a big ass house over here and then a kind of 1-story ranch.
Right, like a ranch type. Yeah. So, you know, so and now getting back into it, you know, looking for a house, trying to buy a house, whatever,
Right.
like, you know, kind of thinking about what design, you know, not only is aesthetically pleasing, but like, you know, economically, you know what I mean? And, you know, hey, if this joint has solar panels, all right, we might be on something, you know, and, you know, or I guess just like, you know, that, I don't know, there's a bunch of different things to consider, just space-wise, you know. So anyway, but yeah, I definitely want to be an architect for sure.
That's interesting. Yeah, I feel like if I didn't go into the lane I went into, that's one of my old clients when I was doing like freelance websites and stuff. He was a retired architect. This man built a greenhouse because he's obsessed with orchids. So like I was doing his website for orchids and stuff. He had like a whole catalog. That man loved him some orchids, but he had like a greenhouse attached to his crib. Like he built that joint over there.
That's tough.
I'm like, yo, but yeah, if I didn't go into tech, I probably would have. It's like it. And it goes along with what you were saying before, like it connects the art with the kind of that physicality of it, like, cause you gotta, I don't know if you used SketchUp before, but like building out the cribs and all of that type of stuff, and it also incorporated the math, and I love math, so like all of that type of stuff too. But I could see you doing it actually, like the attention to detail that it takes to do engineering and stuff like that, to make beats and all that.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll look at you as you're mixing, and you'll go and like cut the beat. You'll take this part of the beat, throw it here, paste, and take that over there, make a space in there, and then you'll play it and it'll just flow and it'll be hot. And I'm like, bro, that type of like, you know what I'm saying, that analytical mind.
Yeah.
I feel like you could apply that to a bunch of different shit. You just happen to do music. You know what I'm saying? But like, I could definitely see you doing that.
Yeah, I think I'm just too tied to like, you know, that free flowing creativity.
For sure.
You know, because like even like I used to take I think I was in pre-calc when I was in 11th, and then could have gone AP Calc in senior year.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd rather do AP Music Theory, you know, like, and
see, but that's to me that's along the same lines, like it requires a similar like train of thought or like line of thinking, I think, for sure. So I want to know, what was the pivot? Like at what point did you decide like architecture is probably not going to be it? I'm gonna do the music.
Well, the crazy thing is like, so I even wasn't thinking I was gonna do music, right? So the pivot for me was I was going to college. I was going to go to UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and I was going to go for music therapy, right? And then so I got accepted there, and then when I ended up going to Temple, because I saw that joint, it just wasn't for me, you know, and so I went to Temple, and they were like, yeah, you can audition for that, John, but they only accept 3 people every semester, right? Or every year or something. So I remember auditioning twice, and I didn't know, I was like taking music classes. I was in the music school, technically, but, you know, kind of still like in between. And so I was taking music classes, taking gen ed, whatever, did my audition, had never really done any like jazz. Last time I done jazz stuff was like 8th grade, right? So I done a lot of classical like stuff. Did the AP music therapy, you know, so classical scoring and stuff. So when I got to like jazz, they're like, yeah, there's no rules, you know, coming from literally there's like thousands of rules in classical, right? So that kind of messed me up. So first one didn't do great. Second one, I felt like I did a little bit better, but you know, for the program, they were like, yo, like if you want to do general music, you're good, like go ahead. But for this program, it's like very specific, you know, whatever we're looking for. So I kind of took that and I was like, all right, well, I guess I suck at guitar, you know? No, I was kidding. But no, I just took that as fuel, right? And just so happened that same semester, I found a course called sound design, right? Took it, loved it, right? Then it was music for picture. music for film or whatever. Took it, loved it, and I was like, all right, cool. He introduced me to the teacher introduced us to something called Pro Tools. You know, Pro Tools and Logic. Boom. All right. You know, it's all from running. And I'd already started using Logic as I was producing, right? So from my senior year of high school on, that's when I started producing, right? So I knew Logic, whatever. But yeah, like Pro Tools and just everything, all the things that kind of, all the layers. Like I love layers, or I love in music when there's, you know, like a symphony of sounds, right? And when it's not like so, like I love minimalism sometimes, but like minimalism for minimalism's sake, as opposed to like, you know, or not for minimalism's sake, as opposed to like, you know, when you're doing something and just it's like a cascade, right? You know,
it's just more sonically like pleasing,
right? You know what I'm saying? So, yes. So yeah, good.
My bad. So you didn't know you was like really going to do stuff with music until college?
Yeah. So I always kind of like, I was always doing it. So like, you know, so all through high school.
You wasn't taking it serious yet.
It's not that I wasn't taking it serious, right? So, because at the same time that I did the band stuff, you know, that was when I was 18, right? So
yeah, that's true.
I was just kind of like, all right, this is something I'm doing, and it wasn't like, you know, what's weird? Like I always, from like 13, I was just like, yeah, like I'm just gonna be a rock star, you know, like just, and that's the way I carried myself throughout from that point on, you know, throughout the end of middle school, high school. College, I think I was just kind of like doing whatever, but even kind of coming back into it as like my brand, you feel me? Like my brand is a little bit edgier, like my guitar playing is edgier, it isn't like, you know, I can play R&B guitar, you know, play some, you know, sweet little pop shit, but you know, when people call for me for guitar stuff, it's usually put something nasty on this, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So like that's kind of where you know I get my bread and butter from. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, bro.
No, that's all right. So that brings us to the next thing, which is where did you go to school?
Temple University.
And the second part of this question is, what do you do to gain knowledge now? So before we get into that,
Okay.
we know you went to Temple. So going into Temple, 18, you possibly could have signed a deal. I am curious, like, what was that like after not signing a deal?
Band broke up.
Like that's I was about to say, probably was a lot of animosity there, cause like
yeah, man.
And then so after that, so now I'm 18, right? I'm in a band. The band almost got signed. The band break up. Now I'm about to go to school. Like how did that work? Like what was that timeline like for one? And then the mindset of like, were you planning on going to school anyway, even if y'all did get signed, or like was going to school?
That was during my first semester.
Oh, so that was during school already.
Yeah, it was already.
So you was already at Temple.
Yeah, I was already at Temple, right? Okay. So that's what kind of made it work, because before I was going to Maryland. That's actually probably, now that I think about it, that's probably part of why I decided to go back to Philly, you know, because I wouldn't have had the band, you know. I'm pretty sure we'd start. I know me and the singer had started before then. I kind of just made peace that I was going to Maryland, and then when I came back, I'm like, all right, let's turn up. You know what I mean? So we were playing a bunch of shows, and it's like funny because I have been playing the Philadelphia music scene for so long. Like I've seen like kind of the ebbs and flows of, you know, different people, and like kind of, you know, so like that whole thing is just wild, you know. But yeah, aside from your question though, but
I'm just thinking like what the mindset would be
of like when I was 18.
Yeah, because you almost got signed. So then now I'm wondering like, because for me it's like when stuff don't happen, you might soak a little bit, you know. I'll take that moment to be like, you know, upset or whatever. But then you got to figure out what's next. You know what I'm saying? So
for sure.
Now I'm wondering, like, is that how you moved in that moment, like, or were you still like, well, maybe me and the singer could still get signed, or like maybe this,
right?
Or like what was your mindset like at that time?
So I definitely kind of went. I can tell that I've grown, you know, because of my response to things, right? So yeah, I pretty much like kicked the bass player out of the band. You know, it was like that was the reason, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was plenty of other little things, but that was the reason.
For
you know what I mean?
I mean, that was a valid reason.
Nah, but not really, because you know, what I've learned, even being in a band now, like, cause my band, I feel like we've been through almost worse things. You feel
really?
me? Yeah, you know.
Okay.
And we have remained a unit. You know.
See. All right, so that could be with the maturity then.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So I think for me personally, like, you know, my mindset was very much so. This is my band. This is my this is my that. I put this together. I write the music. I do this. I do that.
Okay.
You know, so you know anything that happens comes through me, and the personalities in the band all kind of lent themselves to that. You know what I mean? None of them were, I guess, more. We're going to necessarily speak over what I was doing, and the singer, you know, me and her were on the same page, right? So I never had to really, like, if I had any questions or whatever, it would just go through her, right? The drummer was just like cool with whatever. The bass player, like I said, we just kind of like bullied him, you know, for lack of a better word, right? And you know, shout out to Cuz, like, he was still like. That was like honestly one of my really, really good friends. I just the music and my ego really.
I was literally going to ask you about ego.
Yeah, it just completely kind of tore that situation up.
Damn. Okay.
You know, so that's kind of thing where my head was with that, because again, it's kind of like, oh well, we could have got signed if it wasn't for y'all. You know what I mean? Like, that's a crazy joint to hold over somebody's head. You know. You know, but in retrospect, thank God we did not get signed to them, because it would have been a 360 deal.
I was gonna say that too. Like,
deal-wise, the deal was terrible.
I'm sure at the time it probably was like, oh, we're gonna get signed, but like in hindsight, we already know what type of deals niggas be getting and shit. So, and
I think we kind of knew, so we weren't like that hype. But it's like kind of we can like kind of rub in people's faces, like nigga, So, but yeah, no, I think between then and now, like I said, just the things that I've been through with the artists I work with, you know, it's just a lot deeper, you know, of a connection that I have with the people I work with now, as opposed to, you know, I will cut you off at first notice. You know, like the first thing you piss me off about, like, I'm good, you know what I mean? I can replace you, you know what I mean? And so that mindset, I think, of, you know, recklessness, you know, of not being like, you know, every person is really valuable in their own right, because there's definitely things that people do better than you know, others or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, given the circumstance, but everyone has their thing, right? So.
No, that makes sense. I was thinking of a mindset more like FOMO or like a regret type of thing, but I could see the ego and how, especially at 18. Yeah. I can see how ego could definitely play a big he was saying. So like, no, I can see that. So then going into school, and you decide like this is what I'm gonna do. You pick a major. What was your major, by the way?
It ended up being media studies and production, but it was originally music therapy. Okay. Yeah.
So you go in there.
And then psychology. Sorry.
So were you, once you decided to go to school, was that just it? Like, you just like, I'm gonna find a job in this field and then just. Yeah,
I was like, I'm gonna be a music therapist. Okay. You know, and like I said, once the jazz aficionados were like, you know, no, then you know I took my butt over to. I was still taking psychology classes. That's what I forgot I did. I did that first, and then I found sound for picture, whatever it was. And yeah, that just kind of set me down. I was like, oh yeah, this is it. Yeah. You know, you can do this and get paid. Right. Psh, sign me up.
No, I like that, because it reminds me of me freshman year. I bullshitted like a motherfucker on my SATs, bro. My mom was so mad.
Oh man,
I did them one time. I was just in there. I'm like,
On the SATs?
On the SATs.
Damn,
so
bro.
going into ESU, mind you, I had a scholarship to this joint. It's the only school I applied to.
Mm-hmm.
So I go into ESU, apply as a computer science major, and I got denied. So then I had to go in as a communications major.
Gotcha.
Changed my major to digital media and technology, which is similar to what we're doing now anyway.
Right.
And then changed it to computer science. So I admire like that adaptation, that ability to kind of roll with the punches. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't get into the jazz joint the way you wanted to, but you found something that you equally or was able to immerse yourself into. You know what I'm saying? So before we get into what you do to learn stuff now, I just want you to kind of go into a little bit about like that mindset of rolling with the punches and like being able to pivot when something is happening and it's not going, you know, it might not be the exact plan. Like how do you deal with the moments?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's life, you know. So that's, you know, pretty much been, I think, the way that I've I don't know, been raised. You know what I mean? Just like when you gotta keep rolling.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like you don't get a chance to, you know, feel sorry for yourself or you know, like sometimes if you wait too long, then the opportunity's gone too.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's true.
I've been trying to. I've learned that lesson. You know, by really like, well, by losing some opportunities.
That's a good point, yo. I never thought about that. Like, you being so sick, like, damn, this shit ain't happening. That whole time, other stuff passing by, you like, you so stuck on this thing over here. Like, I never thought about it that way. I am the type to like, all right, you know, job. I got laid off my first contract. I left out, called them people like the recruiter, like, all right, what's up? Like, what y'all got for me? Like, so that's always been my mindset. But yeah, like, there have been times where I'm so stuck on this little thing that I thought was gonna happen. I swore it was gonna happen, and then it didn't. And then through me being worried about that shit, you missed
some other stuff.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of where almost I'm at now, where it's like, you know, a situation that was super on lock, you know, and you know, we do have a contract, so it is what it is. But the future of it though is a little shaky right now, right? And so being able to look at it like, all right, well, I knew that there was a possibility of this.
Right.
I think in everything, when you plan for stuff, you got to plan for, you know, what happens if it doesn't work out.
Right, that's a good point, yeah.
But not in like a pessimistic or nihilistic way, you know, in more of like okay, let's say that, you know, 50% of this works or 25% of this works, right? What is my, you know, day-to-day, 3 months, 6 months, you know, year look like, you know, after that, right? So that's what I've learned to do, right? And especially maneuvering around like large things in my life. You know, I just got married. Shout out to my wife, you know what I mean? You know, and so we're looking at buying houses and looking at a car, and it's like the trifecta. Like, all right, boom, let's get crazy. Let's do 3 crazy things at one time, right? You know, so, but I've done it before. I've done, like, we moved into an apartment, and I bought a car within 2 weeks of each other. You know, that was a couple years ago, and you know, just being able to do large purchases, large things, whatever, figuring out like, all right, you know, it's the right time to do it. Is this, you know, like just kind of like having your ducks in a row to be able to do that stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think I like that you mentioned it because it goes along with like just being prepared, but being prepared in different ways. Like, obviously, when you want something, it's easy to prepare for that situation, but like you do, I won't say like have a plan B, but you should understand like what could happen if that thing goes wrong, goes south, it doesn't happen at all, like for sure.
Savings.
That part
you know what I mean? Like, a whole lot of crazy things have happened, and like just learning how to save every now and again, just like throw in, like, all right, you know, I don't need this right now. I can save this purchase. I don't need to buy a guitar right now. I can save, you know, whatever, you know, extra that I thought I had, you know, whatever. And so then that kind of comes back, and it's like, all right, when something happens, boom, you got it, you know.
Right.
You know, and I would say even just like mindset wise of like, when not financial things happen, right? When something personal, because that often I think affects us, job, especially like creative people. You know, it's like, all right, well, you know, this terrible thing happened to me, somebody passed or whatever. You know, now I can't make music, or all my music's gonna be sad, or you know, whatever. And I truly was in like a year-long, probably like 8-month-long drought of making music. You know, where I just like could not, whatever, and I was just so caught up in my situation of losing After 5, actually. Losing After 5, right? You know, so
After 5 is the studio we recorded at before this. We were there for like 5 years, 4 years.
Like 4 years, And so that was where most of your projects were recorded at, you know. And
it was definitely sentimental to me too. Like, but I can only imagine for you, as much time as you spent in there.
Yeah, that was a second home. That was like damn near my apartment, bro. Like, I mean,
it was time for you to joke about you like having a bed at that joint. Like,
man, the couch turned into a bed, so that's where it was, you know. But like, it's a crazy joint where you have something that, you know, like I'm buying the snacks, you know, I'm sweeping up, I'm cleaning up, I'm, you know, literally this is like not only my place of business, but a place where I've been able to grow and just become, you know, who I am now, you know what I mean? So it was hard. It was hard to sit there and just let that go, you know, and trying to like save it, you know. It is, you know, it seemed like there was it was gone, you know. It was one of those things that it was gone. It run its course, and I had to just accept it rather than try to be better or try to, you know, just do things to, you know, sabotage or, you know. I just had to kind of accept it, right? And I think that whole situation was like, okay, like literally, how do I pivot my entire life? You know, because my life was built around After 5, you know. And so like that was crazy, you know. That was like one of those there's one of those zones where you like, you know, I knew it was gonna happen one day, right? But I thought, oh, you know, we're gonna kind of grow this thing out, you know, and it just, like I said, it just didn't work out that way.
When you told me that joint was closed, I'm like, first of all, I'm like, why? And I know you was thinking about potentially like putting money into it, maybe buying it or whatever and all that. So, but then like it's like, look where we at now and stuff. So I know it's definitely it's just a testament to your ability to kind of roll with them punches, I would say, because I remember the first time I walked up in here and I'm like, bro, like this shit crazy, and I'm in the booth, I'm like, it was like the same, obviously it's not the same level of what you felt, but like going from After 5 for years, getting used to going there, and like that felt like a second home. Like every time I'm getting in there, it's just a certain feeling you get going in there, and then to not have that, and then to have that weird limbo of like, all right, where we about to be at? Like, we about to be back in the basement? We about to be back in the like,
you know,
I gotta build a joint at my crib. Like, what we about to do?
And that's what I was looking at. I was like, you know, shorty, I don't know, man. Might have to, you know, she's like, yo, I don't want nobody coming here, and I was, you know, as opposed, that's one of those things, like, of all things that, you know, I probably not listen to my wife about. You know,
shout out to Rachel. We love you, Rachel.
She's doing a great job. Not laughing at me right now. But yeah, of all things, you know, that was one of the things I did listen to her about, because I had the experience at my mother's house, right? And so, you know, it's a different, like, obviously, like, you know, like your house, like when you're growing up, that's sacred, right? You know, but when you move in with somebody, especially someone that, you know, is like your significant other, not like just a bro or whatever, you know, like you're protecting something. It's a little bit different, you know? So my thing is, you know, God forbid, you know what I mean? Anything ever pop off. You feel me? Like, I feel extra violated because you decided to play, you know, try to post some shit in my house, right? So,
bro, there was a time we was at the studio in
In Kansas,
North.
I mean, on Allegheny.
Yeah, and the cops was outside and everything. I don't even remember what happened, but like, yeah, man. So I want to get into like, because it kind of goes along with you. To me, as you pivot or as you do these things, sometimes it requires you to take in new stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like to one way or another. Yeah. So with you, first of all, being in music, working with the hardware and the software, you got the what they call those PRO, not PROs, like Logic and Pro Tools. And
DAWs. DAWs.
See, right? You would think that I would know that.
No, you got it. It's fun.
Like the updates that they might make, new plugins. I don't know how many times I done came to the studio and you be like, bro, I got a new joint. I'm about to set this up. So like, when it comes to learning them new things or pivoting and learning something new to fit what you're pivoting into, like what are you doing? Like, are you on YouTube? Are you reading books? Like, what are you doing to learn that new stuff?
Right. So YouTube University is great. When I started working at Hill Friedman, actually, one of the things I did the first weekend, I think it was like Christmas break or something. Like I started working last week of December, and it was like Christmas break. And one of the days, or a couple of days, I took to just watch like the essentially like a walkthrough of what the console does. Right. You know, kind of where everything is, all that good stuff, right? And then when I came back, I had a much deeper understanding of like what I was working with, right? And I was able to, you know, be the primary person I was employed to be that person, but I never worked on a Midas before, right? So boom, you get in there, you know, figure out, okay, the Midas system is also very similar to the X32 system, right? Boom. So, you know, when we did there was like a talent show, right? Excuse me. It was a talent show, and the console that they have in the gym, auditorium is an X32, right? So I never worked on X32, but I'd worked on a Midas. Right. So I knew, all right, boom, I can, you know, everything is essentially in the exact same place, right? Yeah. So then translate that to an iPad. I never used an iPad to control virtually, you know, a console before, right? So for like live stuff. Because obviously you can't really be in two places at one time, right? So we had an engineer that was, you know, on stage, right? Then we had, and he was like kind of behind the curtains and whatever. Then I was like in the back of the house, right? And I had to learn how to like, you know, use the iPad system, right? You know, so that was something that, you know, learned on the fly, but it's like, you know, the same basic principles apply to everything. You know,
if you didn't learn the other joint, it would have been harder.
Then it'd been harder, right? Because I'm not used to like the placement of things, like, cause that's really the biggest thing. It's like, all right, once you open a system, if you know whether it's software, hardware, whatever, like even with this console and you know all this stuff that's behind us, the patch bay, the outboard gear, the racks and everything, like. Once you know what you're looking at and where everything is, then you can like start making groupings. You know what I mean? So I make like groupings in my mind, right? So I'm like, all right, cool. So, boom, my vocals are going to be 1, 2, and 3. You know what I mean? So I know if I'm looking at 1, 2, and 3, I know that probably 1 is the main, right? 2 and 3 is probably left and right? So I can boom, pull 2 and 3 down a little bit. Main's going to be hot, okay? So then we got, if it's a full band, so I've done like full band recordings here a bunch. Yeah. So usually, honestly, 1 through like 8 is the drums, right? So I know that after 8, like I don't have to worry about 1 through 8. That's just drums. Then my brain starts thinking about like 9 through, let's say 16, right? So maybe 9 would be keys. Or guitar, right? Guitar would be, you know, a mic off the amp and a mic, you know, DI, whatever. So straight off the pedal board or whatever. Boom, boom. So, like I said, groupings, and then, you know, kind of looking at the console the same way. It's like, all right, boom. So I know that all this, you know, well, it's not gonna say it right now. But you know, all this is, you know, from here to here, and actually it tells you too, but all this from here to here is drums, guitar, vocals, you know, keys, whatever, bass, you know, and it makes it easier, you know, software wise. Okay, this is where I'm, you know, finding my sounds. This is, you know, the playback. You know, this is, you know, so just kind of you break stuff down and it kind of lends itself to, you know, be more, I guess, free flowing. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when you do code, I can imagine that once you get into the flow of like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? It's easy. You know what I mean? So music and producing kind of like that, where it's like, I know, okay, boom, boom, I'm gonna go here. I know I got this sound here, boom, 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 boom. I'm gonna splice on exactly what sound I'm looking for. Boom, I'm gonna look up the exact, you know, like genre or texture or whatever.
Or key even.
Key for, and that's the other thing. I remember you asked me about that.
Bro. I've seen you do that so many times.
So like when you're asking me, especially for like the outros, right? When there's an outro that you're trying to kind of build, a world that you're trying to build or whatever, right? I do this a lot with songs, just in post-production, where I'll like hear something and I'm like, okay, yeah, let me just go add a sax to this, add some texture to this, add a percussion, add, you know, whatever. And so you have to know what key stuff is in, what the tempo is. Sometimes, honestly, the tempo doesn't even matter, like, because even in, what's the last song? Is it Nothing Matters?
Yeah, Nothing Matters.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So, two of the samples are actually not even in time. You know, it's just the way that I layered them. It just kind of worked. I was like, you know, aesthetically, and that's kind of the other thing, not being like with classical music, being so tied to like
the rules and everything.
You know what I mean? Like realistically, like my teachers would be like, oh my God, like, you know, that's not in time. That's, you know, not, you know, lined up right. That's, you know, but aesthetically, it's like, oh, it gives me a feeling of like, because, you know, just go listen to Hell of a Year Volume 8.
Yes, go listen to that.
You know, but the last song, Nothing Matters, the end of it, it ends like almost like melancholy, like joyous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going for. Yeah. That's what I mean, bro.
You know, so to get that feeling, there were just a lot of different elements, and like we're talking about textures and layering different sounds. It's, you know, not just one thing. There's a few things happening. So those things, you know, me not changing the fact that they were a different time signature. They're all the same key. But like, you know, something a different tempo. It's a time signature. A different tempo sometimes gives it a different feel. You know, so if you put like one feel against another feel against another feel, you know, that's a, you know, almost the principle of like jazz, where it's like, all right, so boom, I'm playing, you know, whatever, and then I'm gonna match what you're doing, but in my own little way. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's kind of how I look at producing too. It's like, you know, things that just complement, you know, and genre-wise, sometimes it doesn't even have one. It's just like, and then people sing to it, and you're like, oh, I would have never, I would have never thought, you know, like, yeah, so, you know, there's definitely a lot of things that, you know, I don't know, like kind of fall in that direction. But
that's why I wanted to have you on this joint and get into more of this type of stuff, because first of all, the way you're learning, the way you go about staying up to date in this field is the same exact thing I do at work. Like right now I'm learning GraphQL, which is just another way of doing like calls to an API, you know what I'm saying? But
Sure.
essentially, it's the same thing you do. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got this new technology or hardware or whatever it might be, and you're watching videos about it. You're learning how the ends, you know, how can I apply this to this, and like seeing the way I know I really understand something is when I can relate it to something else. So you being able to say like, oh, this system is like this system minus a couple of things, but like it's basically the same. Like all of that type of stuff is the same. It requires the same amount of curiosity, intuitiveness, of like attention to detail. Like all of these little things falls into multiple fields or multiple lanes and stuff. And that's yeah. I'm glad you like that was a perfect way of kind of tying this into the channel and the podcast and everything. Is like everything that you're doing is the same exact stuff I do. It's just a different medium, literally. And so yeah, that was like what you do to gain knowledge now. So I'm curious, like, so what I usually ask people is like, as a black person or as a black man,
Yes.
But has your experience been like in tech? So that for me, that was me being like often the only black person in the room and stuff like that. But obviously in music, especially working with like hip hop artists and stuff like that. But I'm curious about your experience in Maryland, going to Temple, like especially when you started out in like music therapy and stuff like that. Like, what was your experience like as a black man?
Right. So I would say, I mean, like Temple was more so. I was one of 2 black people in my. Once I got to like the mixing, like the specialized classes.
Once you get farther up, yeah.
Yeah, because like I mean, like the regular classes. I mean, it's like maybe like 4 or 5
and stuff. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, so there was always like a little, you know, cohort of us, right? So it was nice to kind of like, you know, you would like vibe with people, but like, you know, I think the like one of my still really close friends, Dante, like, you know, we were in the mixing class with Phil Niccolo, right? And Phil Niccolo worked on like Miseducation, Lauryn Hill, and like, you know, just has a Grammy, has plenty of plaques, and Bon Jovi, slept on the floor with this man, like, I mean, like, you know, really like some just a wealth of knowledge, right? So, so a lot of people wanted to work with him and be in the class, right? You know, but like, you know, once I found out, I was like, okay, that was the first time I'd ever signed up for a class. Like I was signed up for my classes, you know, by my counselor or whatever, you know, first semester. But, you know, once that happened, I was like, yeah, bro, this is, you know, this is like, once I made that switch to engineering, like I was like, yeah, we're going full in. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it was weird. It was like, it was weird too because there's an exceptionalism thing where, you know, obviously music is already dominated, or is primarily, a lot of culture musically comes from black people.
For sure. No doubt.
So you have white people studying black music, but the majority of engineers throughout the years have been white.
That's,
you know,
crazy.
And so like even the lens, so one of the things that engineering wise I always wanted to and still really try to be, you know, thoughtful about is like, you know, the fact that I'm showcasing a part of our culture, you know, and like, you know, that it should reflect, you know, how I feel, but also like, you know, how this person really wanted it to sound, you know, it's just a moment in time of like, of you know, history that's like, you know, all right, boom, this is where we were, you know, and I almost wonder sometimes, like, because one of my mentors is Stevie Wonder's engineer. He was for a while, and through like the 70s. So you know, when he was at Philly International and like just their Sigma going crazy, and Teddy Pendergrass and like, you know, those records are amazing, right? You know, but they were put together by people who I don't know fully understood us, you know? And so that's kind of where I'm at, where I was just like, yeah, if I'm going to be in a room, I can't just be in the room. Right. You know, and that's something probably you've experienced. You can't just be black and be in the room. You feel me? Like, you know, you have to be great. You know what I mean? So that's why I saw it to be. I was like, I'm not going to just be here. You feel me? Like, and I've had great mentors. Even my homie Ben Thomas. You know what I mean? Shout out to him, man.
Yeah, shout out to Ben Thomas.
I mean, like, you know, you talk about exceptional people. You know, like, you know, he definitely just like, I mean, there's things that he does. I'm just like, dude, you got this. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, I'm super proud of him, and it's someone, you know, I was able to work at After 5 with him. You know, he was like he founded After 5. That was his thing. He brought me in.
That's how you got on Uzi Joint too, right?
Yeah. Yep. So the pink tape, you know, platinum.
Right.
You know, but yeah, being able to work on that, you know, through Ben, you know, being able to work on a whole bunch of projects, you know, kind of because of that situation, you know, was amazing. It was a blessing. And, you know, it also shows you what you're ready for, what you're not ready for, you know, and it's trial by fire, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, literally, like I've had my best sessions, that were after 5. I had my worst sessions after 5, you know what I mean? And, you know, so that whole breeding ground, you know, for creativity and just, you know, just talent, man. Like people that went through after 5, dude.
Yeah,
Just,
there's a lot of people.
you know, it's insane. And when you look at it, we look back, you know, at we used to have like a
the board
canvas, everybody signed. You know, when you look at those names, you're just like Jesus, like you know. And I can only imagine 5-10 years from now, you know, kind of, you know, how it turns. But yeah, man, I don't know, man.
So with being because I've felt that, like being the only person in the room.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a representative, but you are to a certain extent. Like,
you have to be. Yeah. You know.
So do you feel like, now you might be a little different because you're the type to kind of embrace the pressure, but do you, especially being in college, like do you feel like that molded you in a different way, or like added another layer of pressure, or do you feel like if you were in a class where it was more like evenly spread out, you know, more diverse or something like that, do you feel like you might have been I don't know, like a different type of engineer,
not as motivated or something?
Yeah, I wouldn't even say less motivated, just more like, I'll put it like this: with you having to be a representative, right? That'll light a fire under you in a certain way. But do you feel like it was in a way that would make you more, I don't know the word, like professional, or more worried of messing up? I don't know if that question makes sense.
Okay.
But like, do you feel like, since you are a representative, for me sometimes, especially early in my career, it would feel like I don't want to ask the dumb question. I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing, like something like that. So
right.
That, I think that's kind of what I'm trying to ask. It's like, if you, I hope you get through.
No, I do.
Because I didn't shape that joint well at all.
No, you're doing great. So no, I think that it definitely, it shapes you in a certain way for sure, right? But I think also it depends like how far you want to take stuff, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So I really wanted to take this like far, you know? Yeah. So when I did my intern, like I even go back to like, you know, the class I took with my homie, like, so, you know, with Phil, I walked up to him one day, mind you, it might have been the first day of class, first or second day of class, and I was just like, yo, I want to intern for you. And he was just like, all right, well, that's great. I don't think that I went right away. I think he was like, you know, give it a couple weeks or something, right?
Camera died, so we got a slightly different angle, but that still works.
So, no, I was talking about just when I was interning with Phil Nicolo. Phil is like, let's say like Italian or something, you know. His partner in the studio is Asian. So there's already kind of like, all right, cool. There's like a multicultural vibe at the studio. He used to work with a bunch of black people, you know. He worked with like George Clinton, you know. That means so like, you know, obviously Lauryn Hill and, you know, all them. So, but Phil kind of gets it. Phil's one of those people that like, he has a vibe to him that isn't stale, you know. And that was one of the first times I realized like you have to kind of bring an energy and an aura with you, you know, that even though, you know, as like a, you know, black person, like, you know, you sometimes are like just trying to fit in, right? You know, depending on like the industry, like, so like music wise, you know, or even when I was at WHY, like I kind of had to, or I played a certain role, right? And, you know, it kind of works for and against you sometimes. I definitely didn't, when I was at the studio, I think, go as far as I could have, right? I was able to do some really cool stuff, you know, and but I was always kind of playing within the parameters of what I thought I should do, right? And I think as time went on, because that was when I was in college, so as time went on, I had like extra job experience, you know, where you're getting paid and stuff, you know, at WHY, learning how to like step through the boundaries that people set,
right,
you know, and show them like, you know, what you're really capable of, you know.
Like how you put that,
You know, and so one of the biggest things that Phil used to say, he was talking about, like, 'cause Will used to be an intern, you know, and Will would like learn what Phil needed before he needed it, you know, and that always stuck with me.
You do that with me. What the fuck, yo? No, bro, you know how many times I'll be like, literally, you'll have it playing, like the mix playing or something like that, and I'll be like, all right, I want him to such and such, and you'll pause, you'll be doing something, and then you'll literally do what I was already about to tell you. Bro, I don't know how many times you, like, especially now, 6 years in, like, yeah, that's crazy you said that.
Yeah.
My fault.
No, you're good. I mean, but that's the type of, like, thing, like, you know, I just picked up, and so client-wise, I'm always doing that. You know, I'm always thinking in that person's head, what are they trying to convey in this moment, you know, and, you know, that works like 99% of the time. Sometimes people are like, oh, a little too much. I'm like, cool. You know, I'll dial it back a little bit, but most of the time works. And, you know, I think that was part of why him and Will worked so well together. You know, why Will is now a partner in the studio, I think maybe a majority partner or something, or, you know, and in that space, you know, the people that Phil had worked with, the things that I had to do to even get in there and stay in there, you know, from that, like I said, going forward to WHRY, where it's like more of a corporate, you know, public radio, a little more stuffy. I mean, a lot more stuffy compared to like the bathroom, like, you know, has like a picture like Frank Zappa taking a shit, you know, versus, you know, WHRY where, you know, it's, you know, just stalls and whatever. And, you know, just the content. Like, I remember my first big story was my aunt's dog drinking out the toilet
at WHRY.
Yeah, that was my intern senior thesis.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I just felt like you guys don't even fucking know. Like, you know, I'm you know, and going from there to, like, you know, I was cutting down you know, the weekly episode faster than the fucking producer was, right? And shout out to her, and shout out to that whole team. But, like, you know, I definitely got it's about the ego too, right? My ego started getting the best of me with that job, and I was like, you know, a few things that happened. Actually, I'll even speak to it, right? So, I was the only black person besides the editor when I first got there as an intern. Editor left. When I got promoted to production assistant, and
so at that point, are you the only?
I was only black person in the team, and there was, like, I think a couple Asian people, and, you know, mostly white, and maybe like an Israeli Palestinian person. But I just remember, like, there was one particular day where I think the editor was still there, and they were talking about, like, just different sexualities. So metrosexuality came up, right? And the editor's like, yeah, Julian, you're metrosexual. And I'm like, bro, first of all, you're the only other black person in this room. Like, if you're fucking with me right now, like, it's just not a good time. You know what I mean? You know, and mind you, so, you know, what that goes to is they'd always tell me I dress, like, really, really good, right? I'm wearing suits. I'm wearing, you know, tie, you know, slacks, and, you know what I mean? You know, shoes, whatever, boots, you know. I'm making sure that every time I come in there, I look presentable, right? But that's why, because, you know, I'm in a space that, you know, I need to be extra whatever for, right? You know, and so I remember she said that, and I'm like, you know, and you know, it's also a different time period of, like, you know, what that means versus, you know. But I was just like, yeah, no, bro. Like, so I was just like going back and forth with her. I'm trying not to offend nobody, but I'm just like, yo, like, that's a crazy accusation. You know what I mean? And so we're like, she's like ribbing me and shit. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I just remember after that day, I was just like, all right, fuck it. You know, I'm dressing how I want to dress. I'm acting how I want to act. You know, and I'm changing that whole, like, facade of, like, all right, I have to. And also, there was a position I was trying to get hired for where I was like playing that act too, kind of at the same time. And then they gave it to somebody else, and the person ended up leaving 2 weeks into the job. Anyway, go off. But so those two things kind of broke me at WHY. It made me like
that would.
It messed me up because but at the same time, like I lost sight of like why I was presenting the way I was presenting, right? And trying to stay within the bounds, but also at the same time, adding what I could add when I could add it, and just kind of building to a point where I could get to, just what I wanted to do, And I think I tried to do it too fast. Yeah. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I like to tell people like, yo, bro, if you want to do something, do it. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to say there's a time limit or there's like a penance you have to put in. And no, if you were able to do something, like, do it. If you can make it happen, I think within the bounds of what you're what you're doing, right? But I don't know, dude. It's even like I would say just like in this studio, having to, I think 2016, 17, like when I first applied here, you know what I mean? And, obviously knowledge-wise, there's a gap, right? But, there was the clientele is a little different, right?
Yeah.
So I think being able to walk the line, but also I think let your expertise and experience show. Yeah. Like those things have to really be in a good balance. Yeah. Because I can kind of wear whatever now, and but there are times when I know, I need to, clean up a little bit.
You touched on a few things. One major thing is kind of remind me of like just code switching in general.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I said without saying it. Yeah.
I remember the point in my career where I'm like, I made a song, volume 5, maybe no more code switching. Mm-hmm. And I made like a conscious effort, not a conscious effort, but like conscious decision of like, I'm not going to change myself to make other people comfortable with my presence just because you don't be around no black people. Like, if I'm the only black person you happen to be around, then you just gonna get this black person. If you decide, like for real, because
you gonna get this.
This what you gonna like get. Like, you decide to take the way I talk, the way I walk, the way I dress as I know black people like this because Marquise at the job do this. Yeah. That's on you. Yeah. I'm not gonna change how I am outside of what I'm comfortable with. Obviously, I'm not gonna be at work. You know what I'm saying? Like doing too much, but because it's still gonna be a language barrier. For sure. But like, I go to work. Same thing I'm wearing right now is the same exact thing I would wear at work. I would literally be at my desk like this, chilling, coding, leg up, watching something like.
That's awesome.
Because they know, and that comes along with the next part of what you said, which is the expertise. Right. Having confidence in your abilities allows you to be yourself more in spaces. And I'm glad you said that because it's kind of been touched on in other interviews, but like this is kind of like explicitly saying it. Like once your level of expertise get to a certain point, you feel more comfortable being yourself because you know that the work will speak for itself. Right. It don't matter what I wear at work. I don't need to be in there in a tie and stuff if my code is doing what it's going to do and I'm contributing to my team the way I need to, and I'm coming up with ideas, and I'm leading people, and I'm helping people, and doing all these things. So I'm glad you said that perfectly. Like, and like going back to the WHYY thing, and even here, as you build the expertise, as you become more comfortable in what you do, it allows you to settle into yourself and not feel like you got to overcompensate to a certain extent by dressing a certain way or like presenting a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like, dog, that's, bro.
Yeah. Damn, but I will say there is, I mean, I think we all still, we strive to, I guess, not have to, but we all kind of have to, in some way or another, like walk this line and
Especially when you're the only person.
Right.
Like, especially.
You know, and I think that's really the biggest thing.
Yeah.
When you're the only person, it makes it, like you said, it comes back to like your responsibility, right? So in spaces like this, particularly, where like even though there may be things that like, you know, artists have done where I'm like, I wouldn't have necessarily complained about it before. You know, when I'm like, yo, okay, you're drawing. You know what I mean? You know, I don't think we've had to go that far, but like, like when I've had like multiple people here, like it gets to the point where I have to like go tell them, like, all right, look, despite there being cameras here and people can see you, like there is a level of decorum, you know, that I'm like just hoping that you have as a person, you know, and then, you know, sometimes people just don't have it, you know, so you have to really explicitly say something, you know, and I think that's like the example part where I know how to act here. I hope that you know how to act, but since you don't, I have to kind of take another step and, you know, set this right. So that kind of goes in with the responsibility, you know, if, you know, when I've had interns, you know, at, you know, the other space and over here, you know, there's things that I will do intentionally while they're there so that they see.
Right, set that
this
example.
How you, this, you know, set an example, but this is how you handle the situation. If things were, you know, come up or whatever, you know, I like will be very explicit in like either like trying to get them to help out or, you know, just being like, yo, all right, like, I don't know, just watch, you know, or I'll just, you know, if I'm like quiet for long periods of time, like with the mixing, right? So when I was After 5, a lot of times I was mixing and like, you know, they're just like, okay, so why did you move you know, to here? You know, why? Okay, so use this. Okay, instead of that, like, and then it becomes like a dialogue as I'm doing it because it makes me think like, why am I doing this? You know what I mean? As opposed to getting in a routine, you know, and like I said, routines happen, you know, with your work and with, you know, just life, you know. So I, you know, being an example, I think also kind of requires you to examine the routines of what you're doing, rituals, really rituals. You know, like why am I doing something? We talked about a couple rituals.
Day, Doug,
I'm going crazy right now.
That's a good way too.
You know, you know, but the rituals are, you know, the things that we do out of just like, you know, habit, you know, forced, you know, that we force upon ourselves.
For sure.
You know, but examining those things so that you're able to be a better example going forward. You know what I mean?
I like that because as you level up, you want to level up the people around you too. So,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that affects how you level up too.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's reciprocal.
Exactly. Because After 5 was a different vibe than this, John. So people that been with you at After 5, they're not coming here with that same. But it's like, we don't do that here. We're in a different place now. So as I level up, as we get to more, you know, $100,000, $1 million studios and stuff like that, $10 million studios, like y'all gotta come with that energy.
You know what's funny? It kind of is like a bell curve. You feel me? Of there's like, so you got, you know, like Allegheny, and I would say this is almost kind of like a, like you're at the top of the peak right now of the bell. And as you get into like the fancier studios, it doesn't like go all the way down the same way, but it kind of like plateaus a little bit, you know, where, you know, it's going to be nice. Like, you know, all right, it'll probably go up a little bit and then kind of plateau, right? It's not the same, I don't know what kind of curve that is or whatever, but where, you know, you have this like, you know, it's exponential for a while, and then obviously just kind of flattens off, right? Anyway, too much math. But yeah, man, there's a weird like, and it's almost like artist dependent, right? I've had artists or people that had worked with like really big artists or just bigger artists that will come through and treat the space like is theirs, but also like it's not, you know, where I'll throw trash wherever. Yeah. I'll leave, you know, blunt guts wherever. Yeah. I'll, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? So I'm doing whatever I want, and then I'm getting up and I'm dipping when I'm done, you know, letting all this stuff out of me, right? Yeah. You know, and it's kind of hard because it's like, on the one hand, they're doing what they need to do to get to that level, to get the stuff out of them. Mm-hmm. And as an artist and engineer and producer, like, I get that. But I'm also the nigga cleaning it up. Yeah. So it's not like, right. It's not fun, you know, and that's like the side of engineering people don't really talk about. It's like, all right, you know, me and Ben have had plenty of conversations about just maintenance, you know, and just cleaning and, you know, and getting on the same page about that, like, you know, what it takes to maintain a situation like that, you know, and, you know, I try to impart that on the interns, just like, yo, bro, like, you know, for a while we had like bi-weekly, weekly cleaning, you know, like we would rewrap the wires, you know, and all the cords and stuff, because, you know, the presentation of how things are matters, you feel me? So, and the functionality too, right. You know what I mean? Like you want to be able to, you know, take a cord out, you know, boom, that joint's, you know, not all tangled, and, you know, so, things matter.
No, I was curious how that question was going to go given the field that we're technically in, but damn, bro, you gave me some good insight there, like more than I was expecting.
No problem.
You good, Rachel? Mm-hmm. You good? All right. We only got.
What time is it?
10:40.
Damn.
Yeah, I ain't people all leave. Was good. I got a few more questions, but I'm gonna try to tie these up. So you good? We almost done. All right. So the next John. We kind of got into a few things, like you having a pivot, you auditioning for the jazz drum and stuff like that. So I just want to get into like what adversity or like things you had to overcome to reach your goals. Maybe you could give me like your top 1 or top 3 or something like that.
Okay. Top 1, I don't know. I think that. I don't know. I mean, adversity, like, you know, it's funny. So I feel like I don't personally, like, I'll be going through something, right? But I won't necessarily look at it as this is in front of me. Like, if you can visualize it, it's like something that's like peripheral. But it's like, you know, it's depending on how pressing it is. Yeah. Like kind of that's like how peripheral it is. Like if it's like it's getting close, you know what I mean? Versus like
kind of in the blind spot.
Yeah, like you know, but it's like I definitely know that it's there.
I like that imagery.
You know, I think that like I'm trying to really, really think about like, you know, things that held me back. I mean, like, his grades wise, I've never really, you know, I've always been a good student, you know, went to Masterman Central, you know, the best high school in the city, 272.
No, let's not get carried away.
Where'd you go, SLA?
Yeah, SLA. Yeah, I was in 3rd class, number 3.
Number 3.
271, 272, man, number 3.
272.
How about that?
You know, so
I'd have been 271 if I went there, though.
Okay, I got you. But yeah, man, I don't know, man. I've had great teachers. And actually, when I went back to Central recently, met up with one of them, Mr. Lobron, and you know, it's funny like seeing people like as they age, right? But like their wisdom and their whatever is like still there. Like, you know, the way that, you know, they would speak, you know, the mannerisms is still there. And you know, I just kind of was thankful that I had people like, you know, him, you know, that I had people that, you know, even at the time that I may have been, because I mean, I was a good student grades wise. I was sometimes cutting up a little bit, but I think I've been blessed to even like, my parents are divorced, but, I've always had a loving household. I've never had to want for anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I look at adversity like, people are really going through shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've never gone through shit. Like, I've gone through some hard times for sure. But I mean, like, there's stuff that people really, that's real, and so I kind of compare myself, I try not to compare myself, but like, I acknowledge, there we go, I acknowledge the things that people go through, and I'm very empathetic to that, and I try not to, when I get like low, I try not to like really think of it like, yo, I'm really in some stuff, because like you look at any situation, you're like, damn, all right, and so it's not a comparing thing, but it's like a thing, I'm thankful that I'm not in that situation, you know what I mean, and but also at the same time acknowledging that, too many decisions that go a certain way, you could be in that situation, right? And so, I don't know, I never, and I'm just a person that I'm like, yo, if it's gonna get done, it's gonna get done.
Yeah.
You feel me? So, I've, there are like a lot of things I still want to do goals wise. I have a lot of, things that I need to accomplish, but I think that looking back and being able to, like, if I was, 8th grade Julian just getting a guitar, looking at what I've done now, it's like, okay, cool, like if I was like, oh, that's it, I think he'd be cool,
Right.
But I don't know, I have a lot of things that I want to do, and a lot of things that I think are just on the horizon still, you know what I mean? So I think the perspective, it's like you kind of can't like let anything, like if you want to, especially like we're talking about being great, like, we're one of 2 or 3 in a field, you have to be, you know what I mean? So you have to be a little crazy you have to think a little bit farther than where everyone else is thinking.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, I think, try to think beyond, and then when I think that I think I'm beyond, I try to think beyond that. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I haven't had this take yet, honestly, but hearing you, that perspective, I honestly, I admire that, because it's real easy to be like, oh, I got, all this stuff going on, but first of all, I like the analogy or the imagery of it not being an obstacle, but more like a peripheral thing, like something that you see, is there, but you're not gonna it's not in your way. You're not gonna let it derail you. Like, I love that, actually. I might steal that joint. I like that.
More, you know what I mean? I give my writing credit.
But no, I like that a lot, and being able to keep stuff in perspective of like, it could be worse, I think that's important too. Realizing like that stuff isn't the end of the world. And it usually, barring something crazy, but like most times it's a way through something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
100%.
I like that. So given that, this next question is, where do you see your journey going? So like, we can kind of summarize it, but like, what, like the next 5, 10, 20 years from now, like what do you see that looking like? You mentioned you just got married. You mentioned, crib stuff, obviously music stuff. And then the last part of this question is, what does retirement look like for you? So like, given what you do, I don't see you as being a person to like retire and just go to the beach somewhere, but like, like what does that look like for you?
Okay, so first part was
5, 10, 20 years,
okay.
However you want to summarize that.
So 5-year, definitely at least want to professionally, I think maybe hit a couple more milestones. Being part of the Grammy board for Philadelphia chapter is one of them. Hopefully this year. I kind of slacked this past year. I think having another like major placement definitely would I think within the next 5 years be obtainable.
Yeah.
Kind of on the level of the Uzi stuff. I think personally, I would definitely want to obviously own my own house. Excuse me, Jesus. Own my own house. Hopefully have at least one kid. Maybe two. Just depending on how things are going. I would want to, down the line, own, like I'm big on like owning land, right? And I always thought that I wanted to own a bunch of properties, right? And now I'm just kind of like, I'd rather own my own property where I can just do a bunch of things from, and just like go somewhere, remote, away from people that I can just kind of have be my house, and just do stuff from there. Also, kind of aside from that, like the world is like really changing really fast, right? So, kind of figuring out how AI plays into like all that, and something we didn't really talk about as much is like, with music, there is a huge push, whether you're for it or not, like there's a huge push for, the integration of, AI into music, and the fact that there's already been AI integrated music. Auto-tune is AI, you feel me? And there's, different plugins that are coming out that, kind of use those systems, right? So, you kind of can't be mad, Timberland has an AI artist, he signed somebody, and he's stealing all the whatever. But then at the same time, it's like, oh my gosh, my RX is making my stuff sound like it was recorded in the studio, So I don't know. Figuring out where I fit into that is huge. We talked about actually a plug-in.
Yeah, we talked about that before. Yeah.
And so I think that's one of my goals, is kind of figure out where I fit into that. Whether it's as a developer, as a prompter, and then like I said, just going forward, man, just kind of being a shepherd of music and the art of music, and hopefully really going ham with the sommelier stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Getting crazy, really, becoming a master, I don't even know, sommelier, I don't know. But like, there's like a bunch of training and stuff you have to do, and whatever. So that, just having a happy, healthy life, being healthy is a big thing. Like I definitely am like, all right, I need to, because like, we sit all the fucking time. Yeah,
that's why I had to,
so like, I'm kind of taking after you now. It's like, man, like, you're in the gym all the time. I'm like, oh shit, dude, I'm, like we're talking, getting old and stuff just hurting, bro. Like, exactly. Woke up, my shoulders falling off. Like, so, all right, bro. Like, so I definitely want to, just really be conscious of that, going forward. And
for sure.
Even like playing with my kids, I don't, that was one of my biggest things, man. Like my dad, like not for lack of, trying, but there's one memory I have with him where I played catch, right? Yeah. And, he's just not the most coordinated person, that's all, it's fine. But he was like older. He had me like when I was older, or when he was older in life. And so, it was just like a different dynamic, right? And so I just definitely do want to be able to do that for my kids. But professionally, I think just, just going bananas, really letting the full extent of like my creative prowess just out,
just go,
like really letting it go, because that's one of the things I feel like I have personally held myself back from, like just telling people like, yo, honestly, I don't like care what you're doing, like you need to work with me, right? And I have done that in the past with some people, but the opportunities I have right now, I think I can be a little more forceful in that, and just kind of open doors for myself, as opposed to waiting for things to kind of come to me and drop into
Just
my
go
lap.
get the
Be the perfect situation, you know, because that's another thing with pivoting. It's like sometimes you have to realize like that situation isn't coming. You know, like I got super scammed one time and thinking I had the perfect job, and you find out, like, you know, right at the end when you get an offer, like, damn, this shit ain't even real. You feel me? And so from that point on, figuring out, like, oh, I need to, you know, really be on my P's and Q's and figure out, like, all right, like, what is and what isn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm looking at, like, the state of music right now. And I'm like, boy, if you don't get ahead, man, you finna be behind bad, you know, off of, you know, what's going on right now. So, yeah, man, I'm thinking, you know, I definitely have taken a deep dive look into what the future holds, and I've really, at least been like thoughtful about it, you know, like really, okay, like this is something I need to pay attention to. This, you know, is something I need to pay attention to. Investing, you know, I remember. I don't even know what year it was. Dude, we were like talking about Bitcoin, and we were
talking about the cryptos and stuff.
You know, crypto and all that. You know, and I just remember the time that it sank. Like it got terrible. People were making memes. You were like, bro. You're like, bro, just don't sell.
Don't sell. I still got mine.
I still got mine too.
I haven't sold it.
You know what I mean? And I remember like I think I just deleted the app off my phone for a few years. And I signed back in, and I was like, oh, okay. Like when that shit started, you know what I mean? And yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I was like, okay, all right, I get it. You feel me? And
Evan, what you say?
Ebb and flow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. So yeah, just you know, being a little smart about investing and, you know, saving, and I definitely, it's something I've talked to Rachel about a few times, but becoming a guitar luthier. So like making my own guitars.
Oh wow.
You know, so I would. That's like the goal, right?
Yeah.
So one of my greatest inspirations guitar-wise is Tosin Abasi, right? And he's a black guitarist. He's probably one of the best guitarists in the world. Like he's just nasty. And you know, I remember seeing him when I was in college, and just being like, yo, I don't know how this man is doing this, right? Like, we're playing the same instrument, but we're not, you know? Like, he's playing something else, bro. So he was playing like a 7-string and 8-string. You know, a lot of the music is extended range stuff. But I mean, the concepts, it's like the concepts of what he's doing, the thought behind the things that he's doing. It's like, you know, pushing the genre forward, you know, pushing the instrument forward. You know, then when he started making his own guitars and people recognizing him for, you know, the mind that he is, right? You start seeing the guitars and the way that they're built. Man, the best guitar I have right now is an Abasi Concepts. You know, that's his brand. The way that it's built, the fact, I mean, it's 7-string. I had to learn how to deal with that. You know what I mean? I was always playing 6 strings and you know, but it's worked out, and it's like, it's just something beautiful when you have someone that was so immersed in their craft that they created in a different way from it. Like how I talked about like painting from making music. He's like crafting the perfect instrument vessel to make the perfect sound. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Like that's a new level of craftsmanship and like just
artistry
and just control over like your own thing, man. That's crazy to me. So, but the fact that he wanted to share that too, you know, he had a vision for sharing, you know, his sound and his, you know, the things that he'd figured out, you know. So I would have never used Fishman pickups if I didn't have an Abasi, and, you know, and now I'm like, okay, I would never use active pickups, you know. I would have never had a fan fret guitar. Would have probably never had a 7-string guitar. But all that, you know, is just, you know, kind of what went into you know, just making that great, you know, like he's a next level thinker, bro. You know, so I don't be like that. I don't be a next level thinker. I feel like I am a next level thinker, but I feel like I have the ability to make a vessel that is able to create a sound that is desirable and is, you know, different.
Oh, that's cool. I never even thought of that concept of like making guitars. And so it kind of does go along with what I was saying. Is like, it sounds like, for one, you're just going to keep honing your crafts and like just leveling up, getting better as you have. I've known you these past 6 years or so I can only imagine what you'll be doing later, but it does sound like as you approach retirement age or whatever, you'll just keep, one way or another, it would be like the craft or something.
I think that I'm gonna travel more, hopefully.
Yeah.
I think music is a lifetime endeavor.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so
I don't see it stopping.
If you're in it for the right reasons, it's a lifetime thing.
Right.
But you know, I definitely just want to enjoy. I'm big on family. I definitely want to enjoy my family, enjoy the things that I've built, and then be able to, in ways like impart wisdom. You know, be able to give back in ways of speaking and teaching. You know, both my parents are teachers and educators, and I swore I would never be a teacher. And now look at me, you know. You know, teach guitar, teach, you know, like music tech and engineering and stuff, and it's crazy. It's a really interesting path that I've been given. But you know, I don't know. Like, I don't know how I get to retirement, you know. I mean, also for this field, it's like, all right, what does a retirement look like?
Yeah, that's,
you know,
that's what I'm wondering.
You know, honestly, finances wise, like, you know, what moves do I need to make now to ensure that 60-year-old me is like good? You know what I mean? If I have to work, or if I don't have to work, if I, you know, what are we doing right now to solidify a future? You know, and so that's what I think about. I think about that a lot. You know, my wife thinks that I just kind of like, you know, she's over there, grilling me, trying to not look, but you know, I do think about the future, and because it doesn't just involve me now, right?
For sure,
and for a while, it really hasn't just involved me, but you know, I think being serious about how to make things come to fruition, and being active and disciplined enough to do those things. Right. So that's what I'm working on. You know what I mean? I think that
me too.
I'm not all the way there. You know, I'm not a perfect man, but you know, I'm trying to relax, bro. I'm getting deep on this, Sean. But I'm like I said, I'm working, bro. I'm really working towards like doing the things that I know that I can do, doing the things I know I need to do, and you know, working on like how
you're setting that up for later.
Yeah.
No, I like that. I'm pretty much all on the same thing. And it kind of takes us to this last. I'll usually like combine these things. So it's you talked about imparting wisdom and stuff like that. So the last part is, what tips would you have to somebody that's trying to get into what you do? And then the very last thing is that's just anything additional you want people to know, and then like any plugs. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, whatever you want to plug in. So what tips in that part? You know,
yeah, so tips, I think for getting into music and the music business, and specifically audio engineering, you cannot be like, you can be the smartest person ever, but you cannot ever act like you're the smartest person in the room, right? There's always something to learn from everyone around you. You know, I think that's good for any profession, you know, honestly. I know that, you know, specifically for black engineers, we sometimes get like pigeonholed into what we do, right? So like there are certain clientele that maybe wouldn't reach out to me because they're like, oh, well, he's black, he probably does hip hop, probably does R&B,
same stuff,
whatever, you know what I mean? And you know, this year really is like the first year where I'm doing bands, like, you know what I mean? And so yeah, I think that you have to really just be on top of your craft, you know, always, you know, look for ways to improve. You can't, you know, ever think that you done learned everything. You learned your vocal chain. You learned your whatever, because things keep changing. You know, like technology keeps changing. You have to stay up to date. Talk to people. You know, definitely talk to people. Talk to other engineers. Talk to people in your field, whether they look like you or not. You know, there's a lot to learn from other people. You know, and just be open to change. Be open to the pivot, you know what I mean? Because, you know, there's a lot of situations where I was like, I mean, I had never done documentary before. I'd never done certain things before, you know, but I accepted the challenge, you know, and hey, man, I'm not 100%, but, you know, I got a pretty good record, you feel me? So, and those losses, those things that don't necessarily go your way, like, you know, they're just lessons, you know, they really are. You know, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. You know, and the very last thing was
anything you want to plug. So
sure, yes.
Your services, your whatever you want.
Yeah. So you can follow me at J Makes Music, letter J Makes Music on Instagram. Also blacksoul.music, BLVCK SOUL .music. And let's see. I mean, I've got a podcast that is Six String Theory. You know, we're coming back. You know, be on the lookout.
But they got episodes out now.
We have episodes out. You know, and that was like a really fun era, like of just the way that whole thing shook out. Like just anyway, whatever. I have and you know, so if you need recording, mixing, mastering, beats, guitar work, you know, anything, vocal production, definitely hit me up. I work out of Maniac Studios. That's where we're at right now. And yeah, man, I've pretty much seen it all, done it all. You know, so get with me. Definitely am a person that is an enhancer, you know.
For sure.
If you add me to the mix and things get better, you feel me? So, but yeah, I also just. Oh yeah, my band. Oh yeah, so. No, yeah. So yeah, follow the wave. The WAVVV. Yeah, we're awesome. And yeah, I think that that's pretty much it. I do a lot of stuff. I just it's like trying to explain what I do and then tell people what I do, and then, you know, get on camera and be like, hey, I do this, I do this, I do this, I also do this, I do this.
Mainly just follow him on the gram. Get in touch.
Yeah.
If you follow him, you'll see all the stuff you get into. But yeah, it's definitely worth linking and connecting one way or another, even if you don't do the music, like the networking part, like, you know, a lot of people anyway. So like,
no, for sure. Yeah, that's a big thing. You feel me? Yeah, that's like one of the greatest things I think about, like just being in a community of people where,
for sure,
you know, through After 5, through the different places I've been at, you know, you just kind of like, I don't know, like gain like this Rolodex, you know what I mean? It's beautiful. And, you know, and even like through people, I know this person does this, or I know that, you know, and then it kind of just tangentially builds, you know. So that's another just tip, you know, stay cool with everybody, you know, because, you know, you never know. You truly never know in this business, in this industry, kind of what's going to pop off, who's going to pop off. And, yeah, that's one thing I think I can say is like, I'm pretty cool with like 99.999% of people. Yeah. You feel me?
I mean, yeah, especially in just Philly music scene and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, get with my man. Yeah. I appreciate you, bro, joining me. I know we obviously through the music and stuff, but like this has given me a different insight of you also as a whole. And
yeah, 100%. I
want to have you back to talk more about the AI stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
More about how like, you know, future music and stuff, and like panel type of stuff. We're gonna be in touch about that. Sure. But bro, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Of course, brother. Thank you for having me on, man. You know my arm is dead right now.
Oh, I forgot. See, that's what we talking about. Yeah, old and shit.
Like, I don't want to be on here like. All right, there we go.
But you got anything else?
Nah, bro.
Yeah, this has been another episode of My Tech Story Interview Series. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank you again, Julian. That's it, bro. Y'all be safe. All right.
Duality, yeah, man.